Don't say anything, babe.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the cosmos existence in this now moment. I'm Larry Lockin, and you're listening to Pleiadian Talk. Today on the show, I'm going to be talking with a returning guest of ours, Lindsey Elocin Hooper, and we're going to talk a little bit about some protective tips and maybe some loving advice for your soul during your ascension journey. We're also going to she's going to touch on her project, the World Ascension Conference, and how that's going, and whatever comes to mind. As you know, we're not set by any boundaries or any kind of rules here on the PEP. So Lindsey, how are you? Welcome. It's good to have you back.
I'm doing great, Larry. I'm so honored, to be back with you. You share such a sacred space, and yeah, it's amazing. I'm humbled. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Yes, it is a very amazing, delightful experience. No, I'm just being sarcastic. No, it really is, though, and I really appreciate it. And, we were talking a little bit about, I think it came up because we were Skyping for a second, talking about a show, and had a little bit of the glitch. So it brought up the thought of,
the glitch.
These energies that really sometimes, and I know it sounds crazy, but they really do. The star seeds in particular that are awakened really can be a target for this sort of thing. And I think awareness, like I said, I didn't want to try to do this show to scare anybody or anything, but
yeah, because we don't want to incorporate, we're not here to do any kind of fear porn whatsoever. Right. Like fear porn dismissed. And I do agree with you when you say that, Larry, that the star seeds, are targeted. And in my opinion, I feel like many of us, probably 90% of humans on Earth are starseeds. And we have been targeted, and that's okay. And the reason I want to say that that's okay is because we all have to understand that these syndicates, what have you, the cabal, whatever you want to label them as, and that goes into stereotypes, just kind of like people label us light workers, starseeds, whatever, we need to hold compassion for them. I really want to reiterate that, because with the World Ascension Conference, this past weekend, or the weekend of June 17th and 18th, we had severe interference. We literally went through 3 different conference software applications, and a literal voice came through, a mantis being, a male voice came through, creepy laughter, while it was just 3 women. And I just want to say, everyone out there who's experiencing technical glitches, etc., number one, remember that please hold space for these beings, and please send them unconditional heavenly Christ love, because we could have been any one of them. We could have been manipulated and lied to and said, and told that we were working for some greater purpose. When so they have their own agenda. Everyone has their own agenda.
Their own agenda. And Lindsey, I don't mean to break in here, but I was going to say that, you mentioned there were different voices, of course, that cut in.
Oh yes, there was actually like a mantis voice coming through. Right. And that's fine, because the mantis, they that's the thing. We have to understand, with all beings, they're not all harmful. They have their own agendas. Even humans have our own agendas. Even I and like World Ascension Conference, we have an agenda. Now, our agenda might be, like, in quotes, better than certain ET races, but yet every being on this earth has an agenda, whether it's going to church every day, eating food every day, fasting every day, being vegan every day, etc. We have our own agenda, or being a father, etc. So please, I ask everyone listening, especially, like, not to live in fear. Fear is not real. Danger, that's real, but fear, it's not real.
Yeah, doesn't it really come down to energy? Thinking about it in energy terms versus bad, good, evil. I mean, it's really an
exactly
energy.
because you have to have the yin and the yang. Darkness provides, darkness provides a darkness to the light, which causes the light to shine stronger. Therefore, it's the yin and yang, the white and the black, they have to be balanced. We're both teaching each other, like all energies, we're all walking each other home. I could have gotten really upset with this past conference and I can be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. These damn syndicates, excuse my French, but not really. It's the
The
truth.
syndicate.
I was like, I'm holding space for them. I love them. I could have been with them because I was recruited, in my lab, and I'm not going to go into that yet. But I was also recruited. They tried to get, I was recruited to be an astronaut. I mean, I'm just going to share this personal story with you guys, and I still can't even explain it to this day. My grandfather, I don't know if any one of you out there, like 80s babies, etc., remember the Fisher Price swings. They were yellow and they had a blue handlebar. Larry, do you remember those?
Yeah, some of my
So
younger,
right, so
some of my
right,
younger
and
cousins
then they
had it.
had, and then they had this rope, the yellow rope, that you tied to a tree.
Yep.
All right. Well, my grandfather, when I was a year and a half old, they told me I was speaking in sentences before a year old. My first word was light, etc. Whatever, what have you. It doesn't matter. I'm still a human being, just like all the listeners. And he would twist me up. He would twist the swing with me in it at a year and a half years old. At a year and a half, whatever. He would twist me above his head. It was 6 feet in the air, and then he would let go of the swing and just to, like, because he's a trickster, he likes to pick on people, he's mischievous, my grandfather's amazing, and he would let the swing spin turbulently down to the ground to where he would stop it with his hands when my feet my feet wouldn't touch the ground, but I could hop off of the swing. So he would twist me up, like I said, 6 feet in the air, and then let go. Once the swing became untwisted, the ropes became untwisted, he would grab the cartridge of the seat of this Fisher Price swing and hold it steadily, lift the blue bar up, and say, "Okay, Lindsey, walk." And I would literally
Wow.
walk. I would walk a straight line.
He really had that down to an amazing science, didn't he? I'm hearing the way you're describing
I
it.
mean,
It's like,
I guess
wow.
I did. I guess I did. And, I mean, I guess, like, when I was above, I planned on having, I don't know, maybe it's my soul contract, my genetic blueprint, etc. I'm not sure, but they said from the moment of my birth, they're like, she's going to be an astronaut. She's going to be an astronaut. I was involved in the NASA club. I went to all kinds of things.
Mhm.
So like I said, I was in my lab, and there are a lot of people who were in my lab who are actually working for, like the CIA. They're working as a CIA agent undercover, and they have no idea that they are involved in my lab or these recruitment programs
So were
for.
you recruited, Lindsey, were you recruited to go to, like you're talking about NASA to be an astronaut? Did you get invitations to go to space camp? I dated a girl when I was in high
Yes.
school
Oh,
that went to
yes.
Huntsville,
I had
Alabama.
invitations.
And
I denied space camp. I said hell
yeah,
no. I denied space camp. I said no. I mean, as a child, I didn't say hell no. But I was 10 years old, and I was in, like I said, I was in the NASA. I was in the NASA club. My addiction, and it's so crazy because you know how, like in my lab, they have these replicators, and I really hope that we eventually get, and the Star Trek replicators of food and etc. come to fruition so
oh
that
my
no
gosh.
being is compromised under human consumption. I really pray for that day.
And those
Yet, I will
simulators will help
say that I had a
out.
strange addiction. I had a strange addiction to space ice cream. And all of my friends and my sister and my family, none of them would eat it. They were like, oh, that's disgusting. You know?
Can you describe it? And there's a reason why I'm asking that. Can you describe the ice cream or your thoughts of what it might?
Well, what I describe is the familiar taste that it was just freeze dried. Like I just associated with it. I associated with the like
Did you feel
with
like
the element that something might not be available later, or this is just what you have. We're in space, this is what you get. And I actually, right after that, I never had been introduced to freeze dried food, etc. And right after that, I was brought, when I was 10 years old, I was brought this dried fruit, and I had never liked dried fruit before in my life, or fruit in any way. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, I was craving it, and it was like, it was unexplainable because, I mean, my grandfather owns 30 acres of land. He's a farmer, I grew up eating vegetables, etc. You know?
Well, the reason I asked you that question is because if you've ever listened to James Gilliland before, he runs the Ascetti Ranch and he's a contactee out here in the Northwest. He was
Right.
talking about being really sick in the hospital when he was a child, or he had some kind of an accident, and some being to heal him brought him something that he kind of described like what you were describing is the way I picked it up. It was like
Exactly, because Larry, you're intuitive as well, so you understand all of that. And, what I just simply want to reiterate right now is there's no way that I would have developed that taste for any kind of freeze-dried anything if I hadn't been involved in it, because as a child, I was so sensitive to texture. I wasn't even able to consume strawberries until I was almost 18,
amen to that.
because of the texture. I was very sensitive to texture, etc.
I took a
And
lot of
I
shit from my
don't want
family
to,
for that. Yeah, I took a lot of shit, not to interrupt, I took a lot of shit from my family because of my weirdness towards texture. So it's really good you're saying this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I took a lot of shit as well. I took a lot of shit for being vegetarian for certain times, and etc. Like, I was called weird for eating organic back when organic wasn't popular. Whatever. And all in all, here's the deal, and this is what I want to tell the listeners. It doesn't matter where you come from. Like, I'm just getting a wild hair at my ass, and I just feel like interjecting right now and just kind of interrupting everything and intervening and saying it doesn't matter where you come from, where
Go,
you
let it flow
where
uncensored.
we're going with the flow here. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you come from, where your grassroots are. Remember that you have a soul purpose and a soul mission, and please live your truth. I know it's difficult, but just let me say, Larry and I are here for you. You can add us on Facebook. We're just here. It's like World Ascension Conference. One of my co-founders, Laura Eisenhower, Dolly Indigo Star. We're not here to put this mask over ourselves. We're all going through this ascension
We've
process
been through it. We're
together.
going through it
We're all
too.
human.
Yes, exactly. And
We're
I can
all
vouch for
human.
that.
We've all suffered. We've all been through abductions, etc.
Like right now, apparently we had an abduction. Lindsey got knocked out of the room, but she'll be right back in. Yeah, it's really interesting. And sometimes I have trouble saying that we're here for you and and all that because I feel like it's such a cliche, but I really mean it. I mean, my journey is just my journey. Oh, she's
No,
back.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah. They tried to interfere
Yep,
again,
I mentioned
and
that. No, I told them that they weren't going to keep you down.
thank you, Larry. And I'm gonna get rid of this video right now. Hang on one second, or I can just. It doesn't matter either way. Yeah, let's get back to this. So yeah, as soon as I started mentioning Lori McDonald and abductees, of course it said you left the call. No, the fuck I didn't. Sorry. And this is what we're gonna bring in about protection, guys. The listeners. You know, and it also refers to what I said earlier about holding space for them, and simply when you feel attacked by any kind of negative entity, hold space for them and give them compassion and send them to the unconditionally loving white light of Christ. Say, I love you unconditionally with the heavenly Christ love. That's all you have to do. You just have to love them. Love is the key, guys. It defies even gravity.
It helps open that door, right? So you could actually put yourself in their feet for a few seconds. You know what I mean? That's a cliche.
Precisely. I mean, we have to. Like I said, they tried to recruit me to be an astronaut, and then there
Lindsey,
came
how
my
did they
lab.
do that? Would you care to discuss maybe some of the subtle things that they did? Like the little recruitment, the innuendos, maybe
Well, I mean, which you want me to discuss?
okay. Well,
I mean, I can go into my lab. I can go
well,
into a
that's
personal
fine, but
experience with the ET hybrid
I'm just trying to
contract.
I'm just trying to, I guess, draw the conclusion, right, that it's so many different intricate ways, depending on what it is that they can hit you with to try to recruit you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And here's the thing, guys. What you have to understand is there's so many ways, and like I said earlier, we're not doing a bunch of like fear porn, but there are devices that are set up to send out frequencies, including your television, including your cell phone, especially if you're clairaudient, and some of the listeners don't even know that they're clairaudient. I'm sensing. Um, to where they will send out frequencies via cell phone towers, TVs, cell phones, etc.
Yeah, the shit you've been
Not,
checking
not
out on
audible,
YouTube. Yeah.
not audible to some human ears. Okay, and sometimes I'm told, okay, restart your phone, power off your phone, walk away from your phone, etc. We want to get into the tuning in to the spirit, and listening in the reference to being able to protect yourself and be able to move on. I mean, there's been so many holds for the star seeds and people of the sort that have this profound mission on Earth, and they've been held down financially. They've been held down vocally. They've been held down via family shaming. So they can't, if they don't feel like they can post about it on Facebook. Well, let me just say right here, you can contact me on Facebook, Lindsey Elocin Hooper, LandSeyElocin Hooper, Hooper. I'm just here for everyone. I'm simply a vessel. Okay. So I will break down the ways that they will try to come against you, like I just did. But aside from the ways that they'll try to come against you, I know a lot of the listeners have already researched, these towers that put out frequencies, etc. What I really want to reiterate is what to call in, and to not feel so much as you have to protect yourself, but to just simply not have fear, and to hold these beings in your heart with compassion, and send them heavenly Christ consciousness and unconditional love. That will break barriers. And we all have an activist part to play, and what I really want to say is, even when you're sleeping, guys, and you feel like you've been sleeping too much, don't accuse yourself of not being productive, because you're being a spiritual activist in the
You're
other realm.
traveling to other worlds. You're needed in other worlds. If you can sleep, like you feel like you need to sleep and you can, you should definitely, I mean,
Exactly.
honor your
Don't,
body
but
and do
yeah,
that.
exactly, Larry. Don't keep yourself up for no reason. If you feel like, okay, it's time. And that's why I say, listen, please tune in, pray for heavenly discernment, utilize it, have faith. And like I said, in the month of April, I was sleeping 16 hours a day. And I was like, why am I doing this? I need to be writing my book. And my guide said, we're preparing you for something huge. And I said, what? No way, no way. And then I realized, when I couldn't remember my dreams, that yes, when I was sleeping for 16 hours a day, they were. And then, literally, 3 days later, boom, World Ascension Conference was birthed. And I was like, holy shit, I had no idea. I mean, I like, my higher self probably did. I mean, either way, the thing is, your mission, to the listeners right now, your mission can never be infiltrated. It shall not be infiltrated by the heavenly power of our heavenly Mother and Father God.
Once you realize it's within completely, it's within you. And I know that sounds
Yes,
cliche, but
and that's the book that I'm writing right now. It's called The Source Within, and that's what it speaks about. Like, your power lies within. It's great to have a spiritual support system. As long as you have that spiritual support system, you don't need to interact with anyone physically right now. You
yeah,
can.
You are
And
your own,
I
you are
say
your
this
own guru.
especially, and you're your own guru, especially in essence to starseeds, because I had this experience for like the past 3, 4 years. I was trying to serve everyone in my community for free, and it broke me down
How'd that work out for you?
financially, mentally. It broke me down financially, spiritually, and mentally. But I will tell you what, it was my initiation. It was my training.
Yeah, it was really invaluable, huh? I mean, we could joke about it now, but I mean, you couldn't do this without going through that experience, huh?
I couldn't, like I said in our last radio show that you and I did to get together, Larry, along with Dolly as a co-host. I said that in 2012, me and my partner Ajna, we were not mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally prepared to go on this journey. You know, even though we birthed World Ascension in 2012, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just happens. You know, like a month ago.
Yeah, we're really in control of our own timelines almost now.
And
It's kind of crazy.
exactly, we are. And that's what I want to reiterate to all the starseeds out there feeling really drained, really sleepy. And they're like, oh, I'm not doing anything with my life. And I just want to speak out. No, honey, all of you guys are doing enough, because don't underestimate the spiritual activism via astral travel. The only thing I ask of you guys to do before you go into the astral realm is be specific in your prayers before you leave, and say and use the word heavenly. Don't just say Archangel Michael, just say heavenly angels, heavenly Archangel Michael, heavenly Archangel Raguel, heavenly Archangel Raziel, heavenly Archangel Metatron, heavenly Archangel Raphael, heavenly Archangel Shamuel, heavenly Archangel Yophael, heavenly Archangel Christine, heavenly Archangel, Sophia.
Good Lord, girl.
Like literally incorporate all that, and say that,
Set your
and
attention, right?
them,
Set your
and
intentions. Yeah.
be specific, because life and death is in the power of the tongue, as the Bible does quote, and it also resides within the mind. So set your intentions and be specific. Use the word heavenly before, because there are angels of the lower realm, and we want to be in tune, and we want to ask these heavenly angels, as our Father God as our Father and Mother God Creator, we want to ask them to guide us safely through our astral travels.
And I think, Lindsey, that's an important point to let people know out there, that
So important.
don't beat yourself up and thinking, trying to force something to happen. I got to do this. I got to do this. You are doing such valuable work on the astral plane, and people can take
Yes,
what they want. But
Larry, I want to share. Larry, I'm sorry to interject, but I
no,
want to
go
share
ahead.
something very important. Scientists have just deemed the dream world a second reality, because we spend a third of our life sleeping. All right, well, thankfully, spirit and science are merging right now.
Oh, it's about time.
It's just like the Russian scientists, you can look it up on YouTube, captured the soul leaving the body as it slept with this new technology, via video, etc. Like, I don't know what kind of
Yeah,
technology
don't
they
you
use.
think, though, that opens up the door to endless realities when you're in that
It,
free
it, it
flowing?
does. It does. And I want to share a very interesting story. When I was in college, my psychology professor, who used to be the head of Washington State University, etc., like an amazing psychologist, an amazing teacher, he shared a story with us. And this was back in 2010, 2011. And he said that he actually touched on astral travel, and it blew my mind. He said that there was a kid that was a member, a student of UNCG of North Carolina in Greensboro, and he was perfectly healthy, nothing wrong with him whatsoever. He literally lies down in his bed to go to sleep, and he doesn't wake up. And my professor shared with us, he said, you guys take note. He said, do you know what the medical examiner in Raleigh deemed his death as? And we were like, what, you know? Or we didn't say what, we just knew he was going to answer. And he said, astral projection.
Wow.
There was nothing wrong with this kid, no health problems. He simply never came back into his body. And that's why I say to all of you guys, all the listeners, be specific in your prayers before you sleep, or your intentions before you go to sleep. Ask for the heavenly angels, the heavenly archangels, heavenly Mother, Father, God, heavenly Yeshua, to guide you safely through your astral travels. And I can say this only from experience.
You're right, and it doesn't have to be something real like you got to overthink this. What you're saying, when just
Exactly.
set
Like, don't overthink it.
your
Don't freak
mind
out.
intention,
Just
set your
set the
mind intention that direction.
just set the intention
Whatever
and
you
make it
feel
clear.
comfortable with, whatever your own personal protecting feeling and knowing within, you'll know whether that's a false protection or whether that's something that is really in your benefit.
Yes, and yeah, I'm glad you said that, Larry. Whether it's a false protection, because I've had a lot of clients come to me lately, like, how do I know if this is this, or I don't trust a lot of this. I had a client today come to me and say they were skeptical about a lot of Pleiadian messages, as I channel the Council of 9 and 11, and I said, here's the thing.
And hold on, I got
I
to
said,
interrupt. Most of them are
anytime
pretty
I said,
reliable.
yeah,
There's bad channelings out there, but the Pleiadian ones, I'm telling you, almost down to every major channeler, it's
almost, but
almost,
yeah,
yeah,
but
almost.
some of them, because of the vessel, we
Hmm.
have to be just any channeling out there whatsoever. Um,
Take what resonates with you from it.
and I told my client, she said she was skeptical, and I said, I understand. I've heard a lot of Pleiadian channelings that are super creepy. Um, like they're trying to create this crazy agenda. And I said, but here's the thing, I don't deal with anything that's not sovereign. I said, if something comes to me and it doesn't feel sovereign and it doesn't offer me free will and it tells me to do something, I'm like, you have to leave.
Yeah, we're
Something
past the point of
commands you and
tripping about the
asks you,
specifics. Yeah.
like there's a fine line between an entity asking you to do something very gracefully and just putting their input in. And the other fine line is the ones that are like, do this, do
You
this, do
know
this,
what? If
or
it's a
worship me,
right, if it's a brother sister type vibe, hey, cool. But if it's some kind of a looking down on you, or that they're trying to, give the
Or
impression
just
that they're
just
more
manipulate
intelligent,
just
yeah,
manipulate your every, yeah, Larry, just either even if they're, I'm
don't do
sorry for
it.
interrupting,
No,
but
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
even if they're trying to manipulate your everyday life, even if they're like, oh, take this step, take this step. No, that's not of God. That's not of our Heavenly Father and Mother Creator, which actually, and I'm going to put a little bit of insight into this. And I hope you don't mind, Larry, because it's a new channeling that I was presented, um, that I was given information from.
We are not bound by any universal regulations. Let your mind
Exactly. And
flow.
what's so interesting is that what has come in as a new channeling confirmed by Laura Eisenhower, well, not necessarily confirmed, but um, a group had sent her a message channeled by the Magdalenes. Okay. And the
Yeah.
Magdalene blueprint, they've actually, I've been hearing their name via the Pleiadians, because actually the Pleiadians were said to be trained by the heavenly archangels, as Jesus was.
It's true. It's true.
Oh, exactly, exactly. And what I want to say about that is, I really feel like,
I really feel she just got knocked out of the room again. But yeah, there she is right in her. The Pleiadians were trained by archangels. There, however, are some rogue elements of the Pleiadians. And, I hate to say that because, you calling your own stuff out in your own backyard sometimes hurts, but there are and have been rogue elements of the Pleiadians. And it's just, use discernment. I go back to what you were talking about real quick about the praying
discernment, the heavenly discernment, which incorporates the Magdalenes. And let me just share the Magdalenes with you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to be taken aback by this, and that's fine. They can use their own judgment because we don't push any view on anyone. It's what they're ready to hear at a certain time. The Magdalenes are actually from an alternate universe, believe it or not, and they traveled here via a wormhole. You hear people talk about different galaxies, but you never hear a different universe. And I will say that there are multiple universes or infinite universes, especially if our universe is infinite. How could another universe not be infinite?
Yeah,
so
we're one of the smallest
the
and youngest.
I'm just going to do a channeling right now, because I feel led, and etc. The Magdalenes actually came from a universe called well, it starts with an S. I'm not going to go into it. It was like Supreme Delioso, or it wasn't that exact name. I don't want anyone to quote me on that. It was like, I need to go back in my notes and check that, so no one quote me on that, please. But they traveled here through a wormhole, issued in our Father and Mother God of the Magdalene blueprint. And then our Mother and Father God created the souls down on Earth and, through the solar system to an extent, not all of the planets, but mainly on Earth. What they did, because the Magdalenes, they were of the blueprint of the Magdalenes, the Mother and Father God, which then you get into Yeshua, the true Christ, the true heavenly Christ, and then Mary Magdalene, which has now just recently been deemed as an apostle by the Catholic Church. Oh wow, she's no longer a whore. She's actually an apostle. So that creates this Magdalene bloodline, born not from a man or woman. So therefore, then we get into the then we will get into the whole thing of what happens with that. Is what we see is a lot of people on Earth have this Magdalene blueprint, and it is to serve the heavenly entities and etc. With our divine mission on Earth, creating this beautiful geometric flower of the universe that incorporates divine masculinity and femininity as well.
Yeah, we're really starting to come into that point where we're feeling the two of them coming together and merging. You know what I mean? We've talked about it for a long time, but that balance is coming into focus, and I think it's helping us kick in that gear to
precisely, Larry. And I just want to ask those that feel, especially the blue-eyed people, especially the blue-eyed and some green-eyed people. That's a trait of the Magdalene genetic blueprint. Not all of us have it. Like I said, it's kind of like Laura Eisenhower. She was recruited to go to Mars because of her genetic blueprint. Come on now.
It just goes to show there could be
she's I mean she's the great granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower. I have a crazy genetic line that goes back to way back in the times of Rome, etc., and the Magdalene. And there are several others out there with the Magdalene blueprint. And Larry, you are one of them. I will inform you of this. My guides just spoke to me on that. And
It
there's so many
ties into
listeners.
Lemuria.
There are so
Yeah.
many, yeah, and there are so many listeners that are, yeah, and there's so many listeners that are of the Magdalene blueprint, genetic blueprint. So I like, that's the thing. The Magdalenes are attacked by the syndicates and etc. even more so than any others in this universe, because the Magdalenes aren't from this universe and they know we have a mission here. So like, oh, you know, it's like Laura, you know, we have a Venus contract together. We have so many things we share together, and she's a Magdalene.
Well, their attacks are getting weaker and weaker, you know, as the veil thins and
Oh, for sure. Like I said, yeah.
it's just becoming. We need to keep our eye on it, but it's almost becoming a joke. You know, it's so ridiculous, and you know, I mean, we need to just get on with the program and show them love, and you know, but you can't be underemphasize the things that people have went through to get to this point.
Precisely, Larry. I totally agree, because I will also say that, you know, like I said earlier, we are like star seeds, star children. What, you know, I don't like to get into the labels. Like I said on our last interview, I don't like to get into stereotypes and labels of star seeds, star children, etc. I know they exist, but here's the thing. Like I said, what I see is 90% of human life, or 70% of human life, they are star seeds.
I would say that too,
and they've existed for quite some time.
They have been. I mean, most that were born in the 50s, a little bit in the late 40s, and then more and more as the decade's gone. So yeah, it's increasing like every day, the percentage.
I mean, but you also have to think about,
you had people before that
to,
too, Edgar Cayce, Nikola Tesla. So you had souls like that before that too. And I had an aunt that was like that. So really what Lindsey is saying is so true. I mean, we just need to understand we have the power. I mean, you know, we're here, we've got it, you know?
Yes, Larry, I agree. You know, you spoke of Nikola Tesla, and I want to reiterate, you know, Edgar Allan Poe, you know, Albert Einstein.
Totally. Edgar Allan Poe.
Mozart, for fuck's sake, you know? Yeah, I said fuck.
Well, Edgar Allan Poe definitely he definitely confirms the fact that LSD was around in the mid-19th century, not invented, you know, by the Nazis of the USA. His mind was so, yeah, these are just amazing souls, you know, and they've been around, you know, for a while, and they set what do I want to say? They were like the pioneers in the time they came along, and we're just now starting to realize how great and influential, you know, their mission was.
Yeah, and you know, and like I said in our past interview, in our past show that we did together, I said we didn't go from just being cavemen to building pyramids. Like, this goes back, like the tampering with our DNA goes back for so many centuries. Even it predates the Egyptians, you know, and I can get into that, the Kemetic views of Egyptians and etc. We're all one. I'm not going to step into that right now. Yet, I will say that there's a huge gap in history. People need to demand the truth. The Egyptians were obviously star beings. Like I said, we didn't go from, you know, being cavemen to building pyramids.
So, Lindsey,
we had assistance. We had assistance. Yeah. We had intervention with our DNA.
So let me
it's out there. It's Larry. It's out there. It's out there. Like I said earlier, do your research.
I'm going to be kind of
draw your own conclusions.
I'm going to be kind of humorous here and put it in layman's terms. So are you telling me that if you had a 30-mile trip to take and it took you like 3 hours to get 5 miles, but then in another half hour you got the rest of the way there, are you telling me that you had some other mode of transportation at that breaking point?
Precisely. Precisely. I mean, you look at the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures, and the Hindi religion. the Hindu religion.
Yeah,
And
the Merkabas and the Manas, and yeah.
and the ships that they had, like even the portrait of Leonardo da Vinci, what did he do? The portrait, even I forget the name of it. My mind is
The
going
name
blank,
is
but it doesn't
eluding me
matter.
too.
There's a starship. There's a freaking starship right there. Like the book, it even says Elijah in the Bible. What was
Elijah had a crow
carried
helping
off?
him, and when he ascended, when Elijah ascended in his Merkaba, it almost blinded his assistant Elisha. The
Yes,
light was
very.
so
And I will
bright.
elaborate. I will elaborate on that scripture that it says that when he left, that he was carried off in a chariot of fire. Okay, so back then, they said he went into the sky and was carried off by a chariot of fire. So think about that. Fire means light, especially in Sumerian texts, which the Bible was originally like
Well,
written
they
in
tried
old
to put us under
creation.
this illusion that the Bible was. They want to make you think it's all these fairy tales and everything, but these are. If you look at the
It's
stories,
not.
they're
It's
real.
real. It's
It's
real.
real.
It's real. Yes, there are some things in the Bible that have been manipulated by like
Right.
King James, etc. He was a womanizer.
But even the manipulation like this, right? You're talking about those chariots. They wouldn't want these people that are trying to manipulate it. Wouldn't want you to think that it was an extraterrestrial vessel. They'd want you to
Precisely,
think it was somebody in the clouds with a harp or some shit.
precisely. Just like nobody wants to look at Genesis 6:2 when it says, "And so the sons of God came down and mated with the daughters of man."
Yeah, the Nephilim.
What's that going to cause? A huge gap in DNA. Because if the sons of God
And
are
again, for
extraterrestrials,
agenda.
they're not from planet Earth. The sons of God are not from planet Earth. Extraterrestrial, ET meaning extra,
Not from Earth.
Terra,
Yeah.
Terra, planet Earth, Terra, Astral. That means that in the beginning the humans were, um, you know, we
Lindsey,
were we
I know
were
you're very.
we,
Listen, I
we
know
were
you.
mating. We were mating with a different race from the heavens, which was not of the earth.
And you know what? You're somebody that's very versed in some of the scriptures, and I want to get your take on this because this is kind of how like I feel. Do you think it's possible that part of the book of Genesis, maybe at the beginning, some of that may have occurred like on Mars or another
Oh
planet?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think it occurred not only, I'm not saying it occurred on Mars because, like I said, I don't want to
Maybe
get into
right, but
stereotypes.
maybe on
But
Mars and in other parallel realities
yeah,
where it's
I will
weird.
say yes, parallel realities which all exist in the now. Like right now, your birth is happening in another reality. Right now, all your past lives are happening in the now. And there are so many scriptures. If you look it up, I wish I had the website right now to quote it. But if you Google, um, the listeners, if you Google reincarnation, um, like verses in the Bible, like this guy gives you thousands, thousands of verses in the Bible where it talks about reincarnation. And it says, and I don't understand how people that are Christians. I mean, I do understand because I used to be a Christian and not believe in reincarnation. Yet, when it says in the Bible that Elijah will come back as a prophet during the end times, how could there not be a reincarnation of him? So if Elijah is going to be reincarnated, why couldn't we? And it also says Jesus is going to come back. So if Jesus can be reincarnated as he is a spirit
Several
that went
times.
into heaven,
Yeah.
like Jesus went to heaven after he ascended, and then it says he will return. Whether it's in my view right now, which I want to hold space for, it's in the hearts of humans because it says he will return on a white horse. What does a white horse symbolize? Purity, heart, loyalty, unconditional love, drive. you know?
All things that can come from within.
So exactly within. Yet also, I've heard people say, I'm not gonna condone this because I haven't researched it enough or channeled into it, that Jesus has actually been reincarnated in India.
Well, I'm sure, and probably in several other places at different points in life.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and he actually says, I did a lot of research on this. He actually says, for the person who was channeling Jesus, reincarnated, he's like, it was a woman that
well,
he's a little girl who's been reincarnated as, and Jesus was like, she's me, she's not me, she's her own person. Don't, and all goes back to the sovereign beings, like don't let her life be interrupted. Don't say that she's me reincarnated, because I am her, I am you, you're me, we are all one. Um,
exactly. And don't you feel like the one big thing with the Bible, and you hit it on real cool, is that there's some kind of disinformation effort to take away reincarnation, even though some of it still says in there,
there
but
is,
there's,
because it's
yeah,
just like
your
you're saying,
power.
it's just like sitting there saying all the religious texts in the world. It's just like us sitting there on our high horse, if we were of any religion, saying, "Oh my God," or "My path is right, but not
And
yours."
judging, sitting on a high horse and sitting there, if you even tried to have a debate, both people flapping their
Yeah,
gums
yeah,
and not even hearing each other. It's like watching a political illusionary talk show. Blah, 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 blah.
precisely, precisely. It's just like, for example, my neighbor, such a precious being. He was a Baptist preacher, and my partner asked him, and he said, "Why did you get out of it?" And he said there was too many politics involved. Well, now he's doing meditation. Now he's writing a book. He asked me, "How do I get involved with World Ascension Conference? I've got a lot of dental work coming up." And I'm like, "Look, it's only a 35 minimum dollar donation, just to view the conference or whatever, or we can send you audio. Like it's
You know what Pat Robertson might say? Oh my gosh, the devil let
oh my
him
gosh,
away.
don't say that.
The devil, good old Pat. The devil led him away from the church
Right,
to
right, right. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, and that's the thing. We see a lot, and this is what I want to reiterate. We see a lot of these leaders, and I'm just going to dub them as cults, okay? I really am, and forgive me,
You
viewers,
mean this?
listeners.
Hold on, is one of them the
I'm
six
just, I'm just,
six
I'm
club?
just gonna, I'm just gonna see this, because let me tell you that there are a lot of New Age people who are presenting their views as cult-like, meaning if you don't join on my team, or they don't say that directly, but they put out this energy: if you don't join in my clique, pay me money or just tune in
It's a
or whatever,
condescending type
and that
energy.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing, Larry, with World Ascension Conference, and like Dolly and I are doing, and Laura Eisenhower are doing. We are not putting any masks over ourselves. This is not a cult. We are like we've seen so many preachers of Christianity, so many, prophets and etc., of all views, beliefs, etc., try to put this airy fairy mask over themselves like they're not human. Here's the deal: this is an ascension process, and we're all in this together. I'm experiencing the ascension symptoms just like Laura Eisenhower is. So what if she's the great granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower? It doesn't matter. She's still in a human body, just like I am, just like you are, Larry, just like all the viewers are. We're still in a human body.
Exactly.
We're not conforming to anything with World Ascension Conference. We want everyone to get involved and be able to tell their story. We're holding space for all, even the syndicates.
Even the
You know,
700 Club, even Pat Robertson's invited.
even yeah. I honestly would love for Pat Robertson to join us. I mean, if my neighbor, the former Baptist preacher, is asking how to get involved, why can't Pat Robertson?
Exactly. You never know, really. I mean, Yeah, I mean, he's getting so crazy that he may a switch might flip, and maybe he'll get it, and we'll welcome him with open arms. You know what I mean? It's
Like honestly, Larry, I feel sorry for Pat, because I know that he was hired by the syndicates, to preach this whatever, and he's just getting paid. He's old.
yeah, he's been doing it for like 100 years at least. You got to give him one thing: he's had endurance.
Exactly. It's kind of like Billy Graham, poor thing. And then his son,
Exactly, not nerve. Exactly.
and then his son. Like, do you know that my teacher? I went to a private school when I lived in Charlotte, and do you know that my teacher was great friends with Anne Graham? Um, you know, Billy Graham's daughter, and and she was so highly intelligent. She went to a school. She actually attended a school back in the 40s, and they had a huge gas line leak and explosion. And she had to walk around, and she lived in Texas, and she had to walk around the town while people, like mothers and fathers, looked at her like, "Why are you still alive?"
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah, and do you know that Hitler sent his condolences? She showed me the newspaper clipping. Hitler sends his condolences to the whatever school explosion in Texas back in the 40s. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
there's a manipulated soul there too, and this may not be the popular thing. Somebody like Hitler, man, when he was younger, he might have had good intentions.
That poor thing, and that's
He was
yeah.
manipulated, and I talk about this in a show I did talking about and another subject we don't need to go into, but I mean, he was manipulated. I feel that about him, that it was the evil fucks for all these assistants around him, and
The
yeah.
Rothschilds, the
And
Rockefellers,
even these
you know.
henchmen like Hermann Goering and Adolf Eichmann and Pete Goebbels and Hess that were around him were like, and we've seen it here, of course, before with a lot of presidents get stuck in that with people around them like
Precisely,
that. I feel,
precisely. It's
I feel like I can't stand Republicans, but I feel like Reagan was manipulated like that when he had good intentions. I mean, all of them are. Even some idiot like Bush was manipulated by people.
Larry. Let
Yeah.
me interject, and I want to present this to you as Laura has also confirmed. Dwight D. Eisenhower, she has been attacked for, well, Dwight laid all this foundation and blah blah, and she's like, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
It's
She's
so
like,
deeper than that, I'm sure.
like, and she knows firsthand, that was her great grandfather, and she's like, he tried to do so much.
People have
Like,
no idea
I
what
could,
he did with
I
that.
could list.
It's just endless, and you can't even know. You couldn't even explain it to somebody.
And my grandfather, I just want to use this as an example. My grandfather was raised Democrat, born in 1935.
Yeah, but when those days the
And he
Democrat was
eventually,
Republican, though.
yeah, but I eventually want to tell his story, and it's going to be really short and quick. But he actually nicknamed my uncle Ike, okay? And his father Chester was like, "Oh, no, Republican," thinking, like, why did you nickname him Ike? Because Ike was a Republican, but he was in it for all the right reasons, just like every politician goes in.
Exactly.
And
You know what? It's about their
my
soul. Yeah.
and my grandfather just says to his dad,
Hello.
my grandfather just says to his dad, he says, "Well, I named him that because he looks like Ike."
Exactly. That's such a
He
great
was a
story.
baby. Yeah, like he was a baby. He didn't have hair. Ike didn't have hair. Poor thing. And then I will even go in to reiterate the fact that my grandfather became a politician. He went to Bill Clinton's inauguration, shook his hand, etc. And my grandfather was a politician as well as worked for the post office and was manning his own entrepreneurship in a business. And like how he did it, I don't know. But he was elected county commissioner for 12 years straight. And I just want to share this for the viewers and just give them an example of why people get out of politics or why people stay in. It's either for the money or for the truth, okay? My grandfather, Russell Dellinger, okay? I just want to say his name because he deserves that. The most amazing, my role model. He went to the Republicans on the Board of Commissions in Lincoln County, North Carolina. And he said to them, North Lincoln County, Lincolnton, the city headquarters, they have a library. We need a library in East Lincoln County on the side of Lake Norman in Denver. And they told him, they're like, we don't have the money. And he looked at them and he said, the fuck you say? Maybe not in that French, but he just said, you know what? I don't believe you. Mm-hmm. He said, you go ahead and you sign. I expect all of your signatures on this document so that people in the eastern part of Lincoln County can have a library to come to, mother and children, in order to learn and read and educate themselves. He said, if your signatures are not on this bill by the morning, I'm going to the feds and I'm telling them all the crooked shit you've done. So, interestingly enough, the next morning, all the signatures were on the page, and he hands it back to them, and they said, aren't you going to sign it? Do you know what my grandfather says?
What?
Larry. He says, hell no. They said, why? He said, number one, I've got enough signatures. Number two, this library is being built out of crooked money.
Yeah, see how deep it goes? I mean, at every level,
Yeah, and
real lesson, how intricate it is.
I'm sorry, I apologize to the viewers. I was stumbling over my words a little bit.
No, it's a real lesson in how intricate it is.
I didn't enunciate everything perfectly, but when it comes to my grandfather,
God will call the police later.
He's my hero. Like, he's my hero,
It's a good story because it really, what it shows too, is just how deep the shit goes at every level. Right, it looks good on one level. There's another corruption at another level. It just goes to show you, you know what I mean? Okay, it's going to be built with crooked money now, and you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a good concept. They should sign, and yet because it's of crooked money, and then there's always a payoff and a ripoff and the things.
Exactly. And I'm so proud of my grandfather. Like, how many politicians do you know that would be like, no?
None.
I need to fucking sign this.
No, if it was on a bigger issue, like if he was a senator or congressman, he might not have, his life might have even been in jeopardy over something like that.
Exactly. But, for someone to get voted into commission for 12 years straight, because it's a 4-year term.
Well, what it shows
for him to not get paid and not draw anything. I mean, still to this day, he runs his business and he doesn't even draw a salary.
You know what it speaks to? It speaks to the cohesion and like the family environment he must have built with the citizens around him, right? He was for focusing on that, what was going to make their lives better, no more hidden bigger agendas. And, on a local level like that, if you're not liked, you're going to get voted out. I mean, easier than a president would.
Well, no, he basically told them, like, I'm going to go to the feds. And that was like in the 60s and 70s when if he would have went to the feds, all of those guys would have been put in jail. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because of the movement that was going on then, that would have been the perfect right time if he was going to make a move like that to do it.
Precisely. And I have to give him credit on this, when I was 16 years old, I began praying, give me the heart of my grandfather.
Think about the restraint it took for him to follow that through.
To not even sign.
Yeah, not even sign. And just to teach them an inner lesson instead of going to the FBI. It was probably, I don't know how hard or easy a decision it was, but it probably seemed, mulling over.
Honestly, Honestly, Larry, for him, it was a super easy decision.
Yeah,
Like
I got
he
that. People from that time that were enlightened. Yeah, it was probably just a.
just like Ike, if Ike was in a lower what if he wasn't probably have had a gun held to his head, you know,
Well,
etc.
like with every president, you have a good intention, right? And then you get in there and you realize that then
I was actually shown that Dwight did more than JFK. The only reason JFK didn't do more is because he didn't get
well,
shot.
he got shot. Yeah, you can't. I mean, people talk about him being a great. He was a great president, but he was only in there like 2 years, really. And you can't really compare him. But
Well, do you know why? Do you know why? Because 2 weeks before his death, he signed what is called, and the listeners can research this, the Green Hilton Memorial Treaty. And what that consisted of is that all of like the Federal Reserve, like basically the US would be issued power of the Federal Reserve so that it wouldn't be a privately owned entity. Okay? So in that involved was whoever died first, he or the guy from China who signed, okay? Whoever died first, that's who the Federal Reserve quote would go to, even though it was owned by the Rothschilds, whatever, and the Rockefellers and the Trilateral Commission.
well, plus I think
So basically, I urge every listener to look up the Green Hilton Memorial Treaty. And so 2 weeks after he signed that to try to put the Federal Reserve back in our hands to get like an efficient a monetary backing system to our economy, he was shot. He was killed. So that therefore then I went to China, and then I mean it's
it
such a
goes
web.
on and on and on and on. And I think something. Ike left office, and he warned everybody about the military-industrial complex because he'd seen it. Now, and JFK gets in there. He's tired of getting the runaround, and he's starting to want to create his own program to find out the truth, away from this, the secret, and but beyond NASA fucking organization there was, and so he got a bullet to put to him, just like his brother did, because they wanted to try to out the whole thing and get.
And so many of his, and so many of his descendants, and that's why, like, I tell Laura every day, I'm so proud of you. It's that genetic blueprint that the talents that they seek after, her offer to go to Mars in 2006, etc. I knew that Laura and I had a contract together, and Larry, I'm just gonna say this on air, because honestly, I've only shared this with a few people in my life, including Laura Eisenhower, one member of my family, and maybe 2 to 3 others. I knew Laura and I had a contract together when I was I mean, this shit's crazy. In 2012, I was watching a video of Laura Eisenhower, and I was sitting at my desk, living at my grandparents' house, the county commissioner, lights out, 8 o'clock. I lived like an 80-year-old. It was wonderful.
Fox News on all day long. No.
No, not Fox, not Fox. Trust me, Democrat over there.
Awesome, good for them.
Like I said. So anyway, I'm sitting there with my back turned, and I hear this van pull up, and there was a brick house that my great uncle had built, my grandfather's brother, and he's passed away several years and years ago, and the lot was vacant. So I hear this van pull up, okay? And I knew it had to be a van because my back was turned and I heard 4 doors open, okay? You don't hear 4 doors open unless it's a van, okay? So I see this whatever in my mind's eye as I'm watching Laura, and I put Laura on pause. And I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? I wasn't even drinking coffee. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I wasn't on... I had nothing in my system that would cause me to freak out whatsoever. And I see him in the back of my mind's eye, this van, and these 4 men come out of this van, and it's typically literally like Men in Black, kind of like Hollywood, the Illuminati always tries to show you these, they're like, this is here, hello, we're over here. So all of a sudden, I'm getting freaked out. Like, my heart starts beating really quickly. And that's not going to happen unless something's going on. And all of a sudden, this heavenly angelic being appears beside of me to my left as I'm focusing on the wall. I've left the computer screen. I'm just like trying to ground. And she says to me, Lindsey, don't turn around. If you turn around, and as she's saying this, I see them walking to my window. Like in my mind's eye, as my back was turned to the window. She says, Lindsey, if you turn around, you give them power. It's like the Matrix.
It's a gang. It's called what they call gang stalking. Yeah, it's mental gang stalking.
She said, Lindsey, if you turn around, you give them power to take you and kidnap you. Because my Facebook account had been hacked, like all kinds of crazy shit. And I said, okay, and I listened to her. And the craziest part about this shit, Larry, is that when I tuned in and I listened and I held my concentration of no, you're not going to fucking take me whatsoever. Excuse my French, not really. That's just how it is. You're not going to take me. I'm not going with you. Like, you can't do this. And I don't see them in my mind's eye turn around and walk back. The only thing I don't hear the 4 car doors slam. I don't see them get back into the car. I see them get back into the car, but I don't see, or the van, but I don't hear the car doors slam. And I'm very clairaudient, super sensitive to frequencies. Like, I can hear an eagle snatch a cricket from thousands of miles away. So all I hear is the van drive off. No doors close, as I heard them all open. And she says to me, okay, it's safe now. This heavenly angelic being, okay, it's safe now. And that's when I knew that Laura and I had a contract together. I didn't know when it was gonna, come into fruition, but I just knew something. And that's very heavy. And like I said, I could have hesitated about sharing.
I know somebody else who's had a similar experience, another contactee out here in Oregon I've interviewed before, a friend of mine, Thomas Ray, and that story is about 80% like yours, and it was when he was younger. But yeah, this is, I totally 100% believe you, and it's so real. I mean, this is,
it's just,
this ain't no bullshit.
Yeah, it's just like Laura says, like Laura, like one of her, like if you look up on YouTube, Laura Eisenhower's Mars story confirmed. It shows her and she's speaking on stage and she's like, you know what? She's like, I have mass emails saying that I'm disinfo, that I'm this and that. The Mars recruitment story is BS. And she's like, you know what? It only makes me stronger. She says, truth doesn't need validation. Truth doesn't need proof. Truth just is, and you can't hide from it. And you can't hide from it because
the veil's thinning. And you know what? These attacks are getting lame. It's like, it's not only the attacks, it's the same old shit time and time again. It's like, okay, can we beat a dead horse anymore that nobody's listening to,
Precisely, yes. And I want to interject and say, I really want to, tell the viewers and listeners out there that, those who are skeptics, because, one of our panel speakers coming up this month, July 16th and 17th, John Crisco, he's been my dear friend for years. He's always been a skeptic. He has to have proof, of things that exist. And
no, really,
it's about bridging the gap of communication through those.
Oh, and she's dropped out of the room again. Yeah, I mean, these stories, I had another friend of mine, like I was saying, Thomas Ray, a contactee out here in Oregon that I met through similar circumstances, kind of like, oh, and she's back on. I'll let you continue with your story.
Like those who have been through it and those who are skeptics. And what he's going to be speaking about is bridging the communication barrier. between those who are skeptics, because he's a skeptic, he still is, you know. He has a wife who completely communicates with the Pleiadians and talks to stars, etc. Um,
Sounds like my kind of woman.
yeah, yeah, etc. So, you know, he's going to be speaking on this, and I think it's very important for those who. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of mental interference. There's a military helicopter
Of course, right
that's
on cue,
passing
huh?
by,
Right on cue.
passing by. So I just want to let the viewers know they know where I am. They've done this to me before, even on an island.
Yeah, and people say,
So
"Want to think that
anyway,
sounds crazy?" It's not. That's a fucking reality. There's a lot of us
yeah,
that have that going on.
exactly. So what I want to say is that, you know, it's not, you know, at first, like it's easy for me now to speak out about it, about what I went through, but the story that I just shared, the story I just shared was very, very sentimental to me. And like I said, I haven't shared that with many people, like 10 at the most, because it's not always easy in this normalcy society to speak your truth, because you're going to be accused of being crazy. I will tell you, I've lost a lot of friends who have said, you know, or not even said, just like blocked me from Facebook. You know, my true dear friends from middle school and etc., who have blocked me because they couldn't handle, I guess, the intensity, and I understand
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I really do. I have sympathy. I really do, and I am still holding space for them. I'm not, when they approach me one day, because I foresee it happening.
It
Like,
will. Some of these people will start to come around if you haven't had it already. Maybe you've had a friend. It's one of them. Maybe it's kind of starting to come around a little. You know.
precisely, exactly. And you know, it's not even that, you know, just like we discussed on our last on the last radio show you and I did together, about how my old roommate who lived with my ex, you know, came to me and he was like, "Lindsay, I used to think you're batshit crazy." And then he sees this like UFO appear in front of him. Like we said, the ascension process is different for everyone. Sometimes it just goes boom and it's there.
Instant loving karma right there.
Right. Sometimes it's just like, boom, I'm gonna blow your head off. Your spirit guides are saying that, like here, you're ready. Like, you need this physical proof. And for some, the ascension process, it can be a slow one. It can be a process, you know?
I think overall you're right, and I think that people that started going through it, like me, a little bit 4 years ago, it was slower. Then you had more people come in, and it was a little bit quicker. But then these people that woke up that were starting to go through this about last end of last summer, early fall, are just like bam, they're right there already.
Right. And you know, I totally agree. I'm right there with you on that, because, excuse me, interference. I'm totally with you right there on it, you know, and it doesn't matter whether you awakened in, you know,
1896.
5,000. It doesn't matter if you awakened in 5,000 BC or 2016 BC. It doesn't matter, you know.
And
Time
you probably might have. We're infinite.
Exactly. Yes, we are infinite beings, and that's one thing I want to ask the listeners to focus on, and want to reiterate that we are infinite beings, and if we are eternal, as it speaks in the Bible, that if we're eternal, that means infinity as well, and our souls and our spirits never die.
Exactly. Hence, get rid of those thoughts. We've been manipulated for so long into thinking we're not eternal, though, right? That we're just here and then we're gone, but we got to jump through all these hoops to maybe have something afterward. But it's just been kind of a thing to keep us from realizing how much power we have, because, then whatever, negative energies won't be able to suck out of us. And
Precisely, and you know, Yeah, I agree, Larry. And we have been manipulated, but at the same time, I want to reiterate that, um, I always use the phrase, and I tell my clients and everyone I speak to internationally within public speaking, I always let them know that, um, you know, like we are, like I said earlier, we're infinite beings. Like, there's nothing that can come against you and your soul purpose. There's nothing that can say that, yes, we have been manipulated, but this is my phrase.
I hate to use that word now that you put it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like this is my phrase. It's called entropy. And what entropy means is order out of chaos. And this is what Heavenly Archangel Michael deals with. That's why he's been so strong lately. He creates this chaos so that there can be entropy. And for the listeners, for the viewers, I just want to create an image, if you will just close your eyes. What the word entropy means, so say, for example, I tear all the pages out of a book, all right? And I throw them up into the air. So I think all is going to be lost because I'm totally scrambling the pages and I can't fit them back into the book. All right? They're lying on the ground now. All right? Entropy means all those pages form back together into the book perfectly. And everything is once again aligned.
Through consciousness.
Precisely. And one thing I want to say before we go, I mean, Larry, you and I could continue this forever.
Yeah, really.
I simply don't want to bore the listeners. I want to say for, protection barriers, please call in the heavenly archangels, use that heavenly discernment because we fell from our Heavenly Father and our Heavenly Mother God, that's how we came to be on Earth. And yes, we did have some genetic, manipulation. God wasn't cool with that, but he let it pass because he offers free will. Because he offers free will. But what I really want to invoke and allow the listeners to invoke, oh wow, I just heard the sonic boom on the Cape Fear River. That's another story. Instill the violet flame. The violet flame of healing. The violet flame of protection. The heavenly violet flame of healing. The heavenly violet flame of protection. And when you get into these archangels, be precise in your prayers and in your astral travel and use the word heavenly before that. Heavenly Archangel Michael, Heavenly Archangel Shamuel, Heavenly Archangel Raziel, and etc. I know I mentioned all of this before, but be precise.
Take your power. That's all part of taking your power too. You know what I mean? Be precise, take your power, and don't be afraid to go with it,
Precisely, and yeah, and that's the main protection is having no fear and taking your power. And for the listeners, when you come up against obstacles, especially with electronics, I know that's been happening hugely.
Bad with a lot of starseeds, it really is, and especially people.
Because number one, our abilities are coming back. Kinetic energy is huge right now.
Yeah, we're destroying electronic devices, girl. I'm serious.
Well, I mean, and not only that, but like I said, the mantis that intervened, and the mantis, it's not a bad entity, that came into the conference, June, 17th and 18th. It wasn't a bad entity. It's just when you're aligned with certain people in your circle, the frequencies can be too high. That you can actually get galactic intervention. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have 5 people with high galactic.
Yeah, bleed over. I mean, exactly.
Yeah, you have high frequency people with high frequency galactic guides and etc. That can actually cause technological interference. And we need to remind ourselves that it's not always the syndicates, you know. It can
No, it's
also
not.
be the entity. It can also be the entity of the machine. Okay,
Yes.
and we need to learn how to speak. Like when we go into work, and there's a copywriter or like a copy machine, and it's not wanting to work, we just need to love on it. Like, I love you, just let me know when you're ready, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
don't hit
I've
on
had
it,
to
beat on it.
practice that. Yeah, I've had to practice that with my computer lately.
Oh yeah, I remember my grandmother would try to hit the TV to get the reception to come in better, or thing.
And the TV was like, oh, fuck you. You just hurt me.
Fuck. Yeah, you're
Kind of
right.
like at your cars, give love to your cars, give love to every being, even the syndicates. We just have to hold that space.
I love your body. Your body's a vehicle while you're here. I know it's a pain in the ass
Precisely,
to do a lot of
precisely,
things we need to do, but
exactly. And one thing, also, Larry, that I want to talk on about your body. I really want to get clear. I just made a post not too long ago, and is it okay if I just read this post?
yes, yes. We'll call the police later on you for it, but go ahead and read it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. And this is truly what I mean. And it's not to whatever, but I'm just going to read it. It says, eat people. Please eat. I was vegan. I fasted for weeks at a time, and I still do, and it helped me tremendously. Simply, I simply see so many of my clients and others that are suffering while imposing these strict laws upon themselves because they think it will make them better. Remember, when you impose laws upon your physical, you will reap these laws in the spiritual, and it can cause an imbalance. I witnessed so many addictions of vegan diets, paleo diets, exercise, and etc., that people lose the meaning of health. What
You,
truly matters is your spiritual health. I'm not saying eat shit every day. I'm only saying listen. Please listen to what your body and spirit need to evolve. I've seen vegans lash out at some of the most prolific shamans and healers for eating meat. It hurts to see such aggressiveness within this community. We are all one, plants, animals, and humans, along with our planet and the universe. I would love to see the day of Star Trek come to fruition when we all have replicators so
yeah.
that no being would be compromised under human consumption. I don't support torture of any being, yet let me remind everyone that plants are just as conscious as humans are. A raw carrot feels pain when it's ripped from its roots, then boiled, cooked, or chewed upon. If you hug trees and feel nature's heartbeat, you will understand. So I ask again, don't allow your imposition to become humanity's opposition in evolution. Hold space for those who only eat plants. Hold space for those who still feel they must eat meat. Because I assure you, plants too have equal consciousness. Don't become so addicted to a lifestyle that simply serves your ego. Listen to spirit. An addiction to lifestyle can be equal to an addiction to drugs or anything else.
That was amazing. I mean, that's some amazing words of wisdom because I'm always saying it's about what your body craves. I mean,
You know,
I didn't decide to become vegan because it's a label. Oh, fuck, okay, cool, now I'm vegan. Or believe me, my addictive self didn't do it just because I needed to do it. My body turned me that way, and I understand some people. I see people they're still eating meat, but a lot of them are slowly going away from it. But it's about remind them it's about what your body needs and wants. Listen to
precise.
that. Fuck a
And,
label.
yes, Larry. Also, it's about your spirit. For example, my diet is still 90% vegan. The only meat I eat is, my partner. He went diving today and witnessed like this dude like on Shark's Tooth Ledge off of Wilmington, North Carolina. he witnessed this guy, like spearfishing, where and this is where Magdalene teeth are found, you know, and it's murky water, so there's all kinds of sharks around there all the time, and it's just like simply, literally, listen to your intuition. Like, it's great to spearfish, but when you have a bait bag, be careful, because one of my partner's friends was attacked from carrying a bait bag after spearfishing. My partner fishes off of his boat, so therefore I don't implement or support any harm on the environment. Okay, that's just my conviction. Yes, I occasionally eat dairy, but it's rare. Just let everyone go through their process.
Beautifully put.
Here's the thing: if any listener out there believes that our DNA has been tampered with and that we have reptilian DNA, and I can say that we do, because there's no reason why water beads off of our skin and that we're born out of water.
No, and some of the just little things.
That's reptilian right there, and they eat meat. So, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's respect all evolution at all times. Let's love one another and come together. Like I said, it's my dream to see, a Star Trek, replicator of food. I don't want any being to be, compromised under human consumption. Yet we're at a time right now where we're having to evolve and make a choice and respect one another. And if we don't respect one another for each other's, evolution, we're not going to come together. So vegans, stop batting the shit out of meat eaters, and meat eaters, stop batting the shit out of vegans.
Quit getting caught in a separatist advocacy kind of a agenda mentality, like a cause mentality, where you get so hung up in the fact that you're hung up in a cause that you don't even know what the cause is.
Precisely. Yeah. Precisely, because here's the deal. It's all about unity consciousness. Unity consciousness, co-creating, oneness, and unconditionally loving and respecting others. That's what it boils down to. And time is of the essence. And I really want to reiterate right now that, just like Buddha said, you just think you have time. You just think you have time. That's why Larry and I decided, literally, upon a whim, to do this interview tonight. We're just going to be honest with all of you guys.
On a whim,
we're like, time is of the essence, guys.
It really is, and that's not to put any fear into anybody, but all it means is, hey, take an extra another step. I mean, don't hesitate to do it, let your light shine. Yeah.
Just in your consciousness, take another step, whether it's sleeping and astral traveling, or whether it's like, being your brother's keeper, whether they eat meat or they have a plant-based diet, Let's not judge. Let go of all judgment.
Be your brother's helper, not necessarily his keeper. You know what I mean? But I know what you meant. But exactly, let go of all judgment and let it play it out, and let love everybody as they're all on their own path at different, levels, and not that one level's above another. But it's just there's various realities that we're all going through. It's so complicated, yet it's so simple. It's crazy.
Precisely, Larry, I agree, and I really think that's the essence of protection. Is releasing all judgment. Like when you're going through the ascension process and all of a sudden your Facebook account gets hacked, release judgment of that.
Totally.
Love.
Yeah, when you totally release judgment, I just want to say this, when you really totally release it, you completely, like, you know all, because you know every scenario, but you don't react out of every now moment. You take it as it comes. You know all possibilities, yet you don't judge. You know what I mean?
Precisely. Judge not, lest ye be judged. I mean, my grandfather always told me, you point one finger, you have three pointing back at you.
Yeah, don't be worried about somebody confusing your kindness for weakness, okay? I mean, if they do that, that's on them. You know better within your heart where you're at and what direction you're going in.
Precisely. And I want to reiterate, there's a super, for the listeners, there's a gray area, I've always wondered sometimes, like, why am I getting this treatment from other people when all I've given them is guidance and unconditional love for free, when I could be charging $100 an hour or something, you know?
Yeah, no
And
shit. Huh?
and I always come
Back to being kicked out of the room. All these technical glitches. But yeah, what she is saying is true. And I mean, I feel like I beat it to a dead horse saying this too. Let your body take you, where you need to go as far as your diet goes. Okay. People will get where they need to go.
No, I'm sorry. No, they cut me off again.
Yeah.
I was talking about releasing judgment.
Hmm.
So, yeah, what I really want to say is it all comes back to when we really try to, we want any kind of protection, is to release all fear. Fear isn't real. It's only a concept of your mind. Get in,
It's
live
as
in the now,
Lindsay,
not in the moment.
it's
Live in the
real.
now.
Yeah, it's as real as pro wrestling. There we go.
Right, right. I love you, Larry. You're awesome.
Yes, it's
Right?
really, really real. Yes.
Yeah, because John Cena is actually here with me. Would you like to talk to him?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, that's okay.
I'm totally kidding. But yes, like what I want to say to the listeners, like the real protection is releasing fear, releasing judgment, and holding space for all, and issuing any kind of negativity out with unconditional, heavenly, Christ-like love.
Yes, or sit there eternally way up in the air with a gavel, being the judger of everything. And I would have, I should have, I
Precisely.
could have, you should have, I would have. Yeah.
Exactly, and we are all our own worst critics. And I just want to say to the viewers and listeners, like, love yourself unconditionally. That's what Christ preached. That's what the true Christos of heaven, the Magdalene
Love Mary,
descendant
love
of
Mary,
God,
and of
of
love
our
Mary.
Heavenly
Yeah.
Father, the Magdalene of our Heavenly Father,
Yes.
Jesus Christ, descendant. That's what he preached. Unconditional love.
Absolutely. It's funny how his words got twisted. I almost joked like, okay, the same that these group of people killed him, but yet they made a cult and they made a cult and a church after his name.
Well,
That
yeah, you know,
it's crazy.
yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's not. Like I said, entropy. Or, like chaos out of order, order out of chaos. And there are codices that were just found in the caves of Jordan in 2010, and yet it hasn't been released to the public, where it's written and it's engraved out of gold. These tablets in Sumerian text, the true Christ, like the true life of Christ. National Geographic found it, of course, and won't release it to the public yet. But it's out there.
Okay, this is something that Zachariah Sitchin didn't get a chance to look at. I mean, is it Sumerian type of?
Yeah, and Zachariah, I just want to say that Zachariah Sitchin was a lot was point on at a lot of things.
Well,
But when
we needed a boring soul like him to interpret it, but yet because of his mind, it was so focused on just what he was seeing. There's I about 80% agree with him, 20% it's like I just don't think he got. But yet it was
oh
very
yes,
needed what he
yes, and
did.
he also had like an intervening of, let me say, syndicates when it talked about Planet Nibiru and how it was going to destroy the Earth and etc.
Exactly. Billy Myers, Billy Myers had that happen to him big time too. So, it's just always about being in your zone and being aware and operating out of the
So
heart center.
Larry, we just need to like assure the viewers that Nibiru is not coming to destroy us. Like, no fear, please.
It's coming on a slow
Please,
wrap.
yeah, please, guys. Larry and I represent truth, love, Christ consciousness, and unconditional love, and all the purity of the universe. And Nibiru, the context of Nibiru has completely been taken out of proportion. And yes, it might be a planet.
It's a planetary
Yet at the
phenomenon.
same
Yeah, yeah.
Precisely, yeah. At the same time, it's not coming here to like mark the end of days. It's only the beginning, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally like for people, the Nibiru people out there. I know it's fascinating, but I would totally like get off that subject kind of and just, it is what it is.
Yes,
And
please.
when
Yes,
you give
please.
it a title, when you give it a title, really with that, especially with that subject, you're really just boxing something in when you don't know what the hell it is. It could be, I mean, it could be Alcyone from the Pleiades traveling around. Who knows? It could be whatever it is.
Precisely. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It could be, your own DMT, like DMT, the spirit molecule, which is easily accessible through just being awake.
Exactly. It
It's,
could be your, yeah,
we
it could be your
produce
own
it.
private
We're known.
hideout.
The human body is known to produce DMT naturally.
Yeah,
Um,
yes, it
like
does.
like
All
at,
chemicals or all drugs. Sorry to interrupt. All drugs like that, like marijuana, even THC, DMT, ayahuasca, those chemicals are all within our brain receptors. Otherwise, I mean, the plants wouldn't be able to activate it. You know what I mean?
precisely, it's kind of like the mimosa plant.
Opiates too. Opioids are our
Yeah,
dopamine, and that's really, something that's why there's such a problem with that on another note. But these things are all that we have the power to tap into, actually, without.
precisely. We can do this without drugs, without anything. I mean, we produce DMT on the most, like, I guess, let me put it into words. We produce DMT the most 2 times in our life, when we sleep and when we die. It's a proven scientific fact.
Yeah, so when people are having these near-death experiences, it just must be going crazy, the levels of it going off. You know what I mean?
Precisely. That's like the people that report these things. They came back from hell because they were committing suicide and they were Christian and they thought, or Catholic, and they thought that if I commit suicide, I'm going to hell. So they go to hell and then they're brought back. It's a DMT trip. You know.
Exactly, or like they see it the other way. They see a big light or whatever. They're having an altered experience that shows that there are so many more realities beyond this and after this, and it's really all within your control, actually.
Precisely, precisely. So, again, that's why I ask the listeners to invoke the heavenly angels, the heavenly archangels, to guide them safely through their astral travels, and use the word heavenly in front of every angel, every archangel. Even when you pray to your mother God, your father God, your Jesus, use the word heavenly in front of that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, that's a good tool. That's a good tip, and that doesn't mean that you're committing to one thing or another thing. It just means that you're putting that intention out there, through the feeling of that word. Well, you know what, Lindsay, we've covered a lot here, and I mean, we've I think, God, it seems like it's just been a few minutes, but it's been I don't even know how long we've been going. But you want to kind of wrap it up a little bit and maybe
I
tell
do.
people let people know. First of all, a little bit more information on the World Ascension Conference, like what the next phase of it is, and like where you could be found on the wonderful world of the internet. If people want to, are interested in, talking with you or whatever, just want to be your friend on Facebook. I don't know.
Yeah, precisely, Larry. Yeah, I definitely want to wrap it up. I think we've had a great show tonight, and if you want to get involved with World Ascension Conference, you can email me at worldascensionconference@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Lindsey Elocin Hooper, LindseyElocinHooper. And you can also like our Facebook page. We have no masks. We're all going through this ascension process with you. We're all human. I'm human just like you guys are. We're totally here together. It's all about co-creating and breaking the barriers of separation.
Well, there you have it, Cosmic Sports fans. So very true. And of course, I mean, I could go on for about an hour telling you all the places that you could find me on Facebook because I've created so many groups. So I'll just make it real simple. Okay, you can go on Facebook to Pleiadian Groups and Pages page. That will show you the 20 pages that we've created, the 30 different Pleiadian regional groups, the various Arcturian groups and whatnot. You can also find us on YouTube at the Mothership channel, Pleiadian Express Productions, which we're coming to you right now. And also I have a smaller channel that I do my own channelings on, that I do some kind of humorous stuff on, and, you know, test things out and test the waters with a little bit. That's the Pleiadian Light Grid Project channel. So, and also we do have a website real quick. That's larrylocken.wix.com/Pleiadian Express Pro. Check it out if you like it. We do have a donation button on there, and we sure love the help, because, you know, maintaining equipment sometimes just costs a little bit of money. So with that being said, I actually wanted to just thank Lindsey for coming on, and it's crazy and cool how we did it on the spur of the moment. And with that, I want to say namaste and wish everybody a big date. Bleh. It is time to get off the air, folks. A big dating game kiss. Mwah. And that's a wrap.